When a security incident occurs, the evidence generated during and immediately after the attack is irreplaceable. Log files, forensic images, memory dumps, and system artifacts. If collected correctly, these can reveal exactly what the attacker did, when they did it, and what data they accessed. If collected incorrectly or not at all, this evidence is lost forever, potentially compromising both the investigation and any subsequent legal proceedings. Control A.5.28 of ISO 27001-2022 requires organizations to define and implement procedures for collecting, preserving, and managing digital evidence in a manner that maintains its integrity and legal admissibility. In the next few minutes, we will explore what effective evidence collection looks like. Let us explore the types of digital evidence relevant to security incidents, the forensic principles that govern their collection, and the chain of custody requirements that determine legal admissibility. A.5.28 requires organizations to define evidence collection procedures that preserve integrity, maintain chain of custody, and support both internal investigation and potential legal proceedings. Digital evidence in security incidents spans a wide range of source types. System and application logs are the most commonly available evidence source, recording authentication events, data access, configuration changes, and network activity. Forensic images of storage media, disk images taken using forensic duplication tools, preserve the complete state of a system at a point in time, including deleted files and unallocated space that may contain attacker artifacts. Volatile evidence, system memory contents, is particularly valuable because it may contain running malware, encryption keys, and network connection data that is lost permanently when a system is powered off. Witness statements from users who observed anomalous behavior, received suspicious communications, or took actions during the incident period round out the evidence picture. Chain of custody is the documented record of who handled evidence, when they handled it, what they did with it, and where it is stored at each stage from collection through to use in proceedings. A broken chain of custody can render otherwise compelling evidence inadmissible in legal proceedings, as it creates doubt about whether the evidence was tampered with between collection and presentation. Chain of custody documentation should record the identity and role of each handler, the date, time, and location of each transfer, and the purpose of each handling event, using tamper evidence storage and documented transfer receipts to support the record. Forensic collection principles exist to preserve the integrity and authenticity of digital evidence. Write blockers, hardware or software devices that prevent any modification of the source media during imaging, ensure that the act of collecting evidence does not alter the evidence being collected. Cryptographic hashing, generating a hash value of each evidence item at the time of collection and verifying that hash value at the time of use, provides mathematical proof that the evidence has not been altered since collection. These principles are not optional niceties. They are the technical foundation of legally admissible digital evidence. Log retention is a prerequisite for evidence collection. Evidence that has been overwritten or deleted before an incident is discovered is permanently lost. Organizations should define log retention periods for all significant log sources, ensuring that logs are retained for a minimum period that reflects both the organization's investigative needs and any regulatory requirements. Many regulatory frameworks specify minimum retention periods. GDPR-regulated organizations must balance data minimization principles against the legitimate need to retain logs for security purposes. The decision to involve law enforcement in a security incident should be made promptly. Law enforcement agencies have additional legal powers to compel evidence from third parties and may have intelligence about the threat actor that is relevant to the investigation. 4 essential concepts that underpin effective implementation of Control A.5.28. Chain of custody documentation begins at the moment of evidence collection and must be maintained continuously until the evidence is no longer needed. In practice, this means using tamper-evident bags or sealed containers for physical storage media, generating transfer receipts each time evidence changes hands, and maintaining a centralized evidence log that records every handling event. For digital evidence stored in systems, access logs to the evidence storage location serve a similar function. The discipline of maintaining chain of custody from the outset is far simpler than attempting to reconstruct it later from memory. The need for write blockers arises from the fact that many standard operating system operations, including simply mounting a disk volume to read it, can modify file system metadata on the source media. This inadvertent modification, even if it does not affect file content, can undermine the integrity of the evidence and provide grounds to challenge its admissibility. Hardware write blockers are generally preferred for physical media because they operate at the device level regardless of the operating system. Software write blockers are available for situations where hardware write blockers are impractical. Cryptographic hashing provides the mathematical proof of evidence integrity that underpins legal admissibility. The standard approach is to generate a hash of the evidence immediately after collection, record that hash value in the chain of custody documentation, and verify the hash value again before the evidence is used, whether in the internal investigation or in legal proceedings. Any discrepancy between the collected and verified hash values indicates that the evidence has been modified and may be inadmissible. A.5.28 is the current recommended algorithm. MD5 and SHA-1 are considered cryptographically weak and should be avoided. Volatile evidence is the most time-critical category of digital evidence in a security incident. The decision about whether to acquire volatile memory, RAM, must be made before a compromised system is powered off, because shutting down the system permanently destroys this evidence. Memory acquisition requires specialist forensic tools and must be performed with care to avoid modifying the system state being captured. The value of volatile memory evidence, particularly in malware investigations, often justifies the effort, as it may reveal the complete operation of malware that was designed to leave no persistent traces on disk. Now let us explore how organizations can implement A.5.28 to build reliable evidence collection capability before it is needed. Implementing A.5.28 requires evidence collection procedures, the right tools and trained personnel, defined log retention periods, and clear criteria for law enforcement engagement. Evidence collection procedures should be documented as part of the incident response plan and should cover the specific evidence sources most relevant to the organization's environment. Procedures should define the order in which evidence is collected, volatile memory first, then disk images, then logs, to minimize evidence loss. They should specify the tools to be used, the chain of custody documentation requirements, the storage location for collected evidence, and the access controls that protect evidence from tampering. Procedures should be tested through tabletop exercises to verify that they can be executed effectively under incident conditions. Forensic tools cannot be acquired and learned for the first time in the middle of an incident. Organizations should procure appropriate tools in advance and ensure that designated incident responders are trained in their use. At minimum, a forensic toolkit should include a hardware write blocker for physical media acquisition, trusted forensic imaging software such as FTK Imager or DD with integrity verification, memory acquisition tools such as volatility, and log analysis and evidence management tools. Cloud forensics capabilities for collecting evidence from cloud environments where physical access to storage is not possible require additional consideration. Log retention periods are a critical enabler of evidence collection. If logs have been overwritten or deleted before an investigation begins, the evidence they contained is gone. Organizations should define minimum retention periods for all significant log sources: endpoint logs, network logs, authentication logs, application logs, and cloud service logs that reflect both the time it typically takes to discover that an incident has occurred and any regulatory minimum retention requirements. Centralized log management with immutable storage, logs that cannot be modified or deleted, provides both operational efficiency and evidence integrity. The decision to involve law enforcement is one of the most consequential decisions in major incident response. Law enforcement agencies can compel evidence from third parties, cloud providers, ISPs, and other organizations that the incident victim cannot access independently. They may have intelligence about the threat actor that accelerates attribution and response. However, involving law enforcement may also extend the duration of the incident investigation and limit the organization's control over its own communications. The criteria for law enforcement engagement should be defined in the incident management procedures and reviewed with legal counsel before an incident occurs. Let us consolidate the essential points from our exploration of Control A.5.28. If you want to master all 93 Annex A controls and implement ISO 27001-2022 successfully, our complete Udemy course covers every control in depth with practical implementation guidance. Enroll today using the link below. Thank you for watching. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe for more ISO 27001 control breakdowns. See you in the next video.